Hello everyone and welcome to Cavscast. My name is Cuddy Jones and I have been working very closely with Key Biscayne's finest fire department in their COVID-19 call center. Today I have the pleasure of speaking to Robert Campos, acting lieutenant, about his experience and role as a firefighter. I wanted to start off by saying welcome Robert and thank you for being one of our real-life heroes. First off, I would like to start by asking what inspired you to choose this career path?
I'd have to say must have been, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 years old. I remember seeing the fire trucks drive down Flagler Street. And from that moment on, I was just fascinated with the whole profession. I just said to myself, you know what? The moment I graduate high school, I'm going to do whatever I need to do just to start the fire academy and move on from there.
What did your training look like in the fire academy and what would you guys do there to prepare for your career?
In order to prepare for your career, number one, you have to be physically fit. You have to be in very good shape. You have to have a very strong mental status. Another good aspect or trait that you should be somewhat of a people person. The academy, they train you from going into a burning building to high-angle rescuing somebody from a 5th story, down to taking a little kitty cat out of a sewer. I mean, it's a variety of things from dive rescue to hazardous materials calls.
Well, yeah, like you mentioned, and like we all know, that firefighters face many different obstacles, physically and mentally. Does your job ever get in the way of you living a normal life back home?
It does, especially times like this. When you have a scare or two, especially with the whole COVID-19, and you always wonder, do you have it? Do you not have it? Have you been exposed on one of your calls? And can you possibly drag that and take it into your own home and affecting your wife and children?
Well, yeah, with this worldwide spread of the COVID-19 that you just mentioned, what is the role of a firefighter throughout this time?
So our role is pretty much safety, looking after each other, looking after the community, ensuring that everyone is doing what they're supposed to in order to minimize the spread of the disease. Due to the not having a vaccination at this time, it's very imperative that we continue to be the role models that we are and enforce and be positive towards the general public, but at the same time, as I said, enforce that social distancing is one of those important things, and ensure everyone's safety.
And how does your typical day look like at the fire station with COVID-19 and without COVID-19?
That's an interesting question. So I will start with COVID-19. Due to the recent, I would say maybe month and a half, almost 2 months now, now we get into the parking lot. We get screened in, check our temperature, ask a series of questions. We have to go and basically have our own self-decontamination. Go in, you wash your hands, you dip your shoes in a solution. In other words, if you out and about, you don't drag it into the fire station. You sanitize your hands after you're done washing your hands. And then you go upstairs and you immediately take off your street clothes, and then you put on your uniform. The remaining of the day is basically walking around with a mask, unless if you're inside into your own quarters. So communication has become a problem, not just between the firefighters, but everybody. And it's just basically, it's overwhelming for us, and it's a drastic change, but at the end of the day, we'll get through this. For your second question, a typical day would be, you come here, you all hang out as one big happy family at the dinner table, drink coffee, you laugh, you watch the news, we make fun of one another, and we high-five each other, and we talk about what we do on a regular basis. Now, the talk about is all about COVID-19 and, hey, you're too close to me, or make sure you wear a mask. So it's a drastic difference of our old ways to the new way for the time being.
How have you guys prepared for something like this?
Preparing for that, it's very difficult to say how anyone could have possibly prepared for something like this. Firefighters, we are problem solvers, and you give us a problem, we'll figure it out some way or another. And, it's been a very drastic, from decontamination in the station every day, 2 and 3 times a day, to, it's been just an overwhelming change for us.
What are some of the highlighted changes that you've seen throughout the fire station with this pandemic hitting?
Well, we're much more sanitary now than we were before. I'll tell you that. Frequent hand washing. Not that we were doing that before, so you could multiply that times 3 now, maybe even 4. Ensuring that, when we come back from a call, we decontaminate ourselves no matter what the call is. So basically, we are enclosed in our own little bubble. The moment we step foot outside the fire station, whether it's to go to the store, to run a call, to run a fire call, we have to come back and self-decontaminate. So it's been a huge change for us.
Now with this pandemic going on, would you say that you have more work now with it than your typical day?
I wouldn't call it more work. I would call it more self-reliancy, I guess. It's the workload has been the same. It's maintained the same, with the exception of now we have to be more vigilant. We have to have extra precautions. So I wouldn't call it more work. I would call it definitely being more cautious of making contact with other people, making contact with each other, making contact with dirty surfaces, and ensuring that everything is sanitized. So the workload, no. It's just more sanitization, to say the least.
And aside from the negative things that we have been facing, what are some positive things that you think this has brought to your department or for the public in general?
Well, I think one of the major components that this has brought in general, not just to the department, but worldwide, has been the importance of, hygiene. Hygiene is one thing. Frequently washing your hands. Don't touch your face if you have dirty hands. If you're out and about and you have a cough, make sure you cough into your shoulder or cough away from others. I'm pretty sure before this COVID-19, not many people realized that if you're for example, if you're in a shopping center or you're in a grocery store, one person coughs and it goes 2 aisles to the left, 2 aisles to the right. So that was one thing that I'll tell you that not many people knew. So if anyone could learn from this, is hygiene, being courteous to others, wiping down surfaces, whether you're at a public or in a private institution, or whether at home, and just being more vigilant towards each other and respect each other's room, I guess.
And let's say someone were want to step in your shoes and become a firefighter. What is the first step that they would have to take for this?
So the first step is obviously you have to have your high school diploma or a GED. That's your number one step. Number 2, you could go different directions. You could go and get your first responder, which is about 72 hours now. They upped it from 40 to 72 hours, depending on where you go to school. Then after that, you would go into EMT, followed by paramedic school, and ultimately followed by the fire academy. Or you can get your high school diploma, go into the fire academy, and work your way from there.
And now for the general audience listening to this podcast, what is the message that you would like to deliver to them?
The message that I would like to deliver to them: stay safe. Make sure you don't put yourself in harm's way to be exposed in any way due to this COVID-19. This will pass. Safe practices as far as, hand washing, frequent hand washing, sanitizing your hands. Look after each other, and and enforce it towards one another, because even one person might be walking around without a face mask. You know what? Remind them, hey, put on a face mask if you have one. Just being self-vigilant and respecting each other's, private space. And, at the end of the day, we're all in this together, and, we have to, we'll get through this. We'll definitely get through this. It's just a big bump on the road, that's all.
Yeah, and we definitely have our face mask on right now, too. Great. Thank you once again for helping others and for taking the time to be in our school podcast, and just keep being amazing. And thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.